We were at my cousin's wedding when my wife cornered me in the reception hall and spat, "Don't open your mouth tonight. Don't talk to anyone. Don't try to be funny. And for God's sake, stop looking like you don't belong in your own skin." I nodded. During the family toast, she grabbed my arm and yanked me out of the group photo, sneering, "This is for family, not whatever you are." Even the photographer hesitated. That night on speakerphone with her friends, she laughed. He stood there like some ugly decoration nobody asked for. I just smiled and didn't say a word. But 2 weeks later, when she showed up crying at my door, she got a surprise she never expected. So, last Saturday was my cousin Kobe's wedding. I, 35M, was actually looking forward to it. Haven't seen that side of the family in forever. And Kobe's always been cool. Ruby, 33F, and I have been married for 7 years, and things have been tense lately, like walking on eggshells tense, but nothing prepared me for what happened. We were barely inside the reception hall when Ruby cornered me by the bathroom hallway. Nobody around. Just us. She got right in my face and told me not to open my mouth tonight. Don't talk to anyone. Don't try to be funny. And for God's sake, stop looking like I don't belong in my own skin. Just like that. Her exact words. I just nodded. 7 years of marriage and I've learned when to pick my battles. The ceremony was beautiful, but I couldn't enjoy it. Kept replaying her words in my head while she sat next to me, squeezing my hand whenever I shifted in my seat like I was some fidgety kid. Then at the reception, I tried talking to my cousin Zane, who I haven't seen in years. And Ruby literally pulled me away mid-sentence, saying we needed to mingle with everyone. We didn't mingle. She just dragged me to an empty table and fixed my tie like I was incapable. Then came the family toast. Everyone gathering for photos. My aunt waved me over. "Isaac, get in here with the cousins." I started walking over and Ruby grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks I later found in the shower. She yanked me back and said this was for family, not whatever I was. The photographer actually lowered his camera. This awkward silence fell over everyone for like 3 seconds. My aunt looked confused, then tried to smooth it over by saying, "Oh, we'll do friend groups next." My cousins were staring. Ruby just smiled like she'd done something completely normal. Those words stuck with me all night. Been replaying them for days. Later that night in our hotel room, Ruby was on speakerphone with her friend Cecilia and someone else while I was in the bathroom. Door wasn't fully closed. Heard her laughing, telling them I stood there like some ugly decoration nobody asked for. Said my suit looked department store next to Kobe's groomsmen. Said she was embarrassed introducing me to people. I just stood there. Didn't say a word. Splashed water on my face and waited till she'd finished the call. Smiled when I came out, asked if she had fun. She said yes and fell asleep like nothing happened. Monday morning, I was still replaying everything in my head while paying bills online. That's when I noticed something weird with our joint account. $437 withdrawal last Tuesday when I was at home all day and Ruby was supposedly having lunch with her mom. Similar withdrawals every couple weeks going back months. I started digging through statements, found regular transfers to a credit card I didn't recognize. How have I never noticed this before? Called the bank, but they wouldn't give me info on an account that wasn't mine. That's when it clicked. It wasn't our credit card. It was hers. Ruby's always handled our finances. Said she was better with money, and I believed her. Now I'm looking at almost $114,000 moved from our joint savings to this mystery account over the past year. Money we were supposedly saving for a house down payment. I waited till she left for her girls' night on Wednesday to look through her things. Never done that before. Felt sick doing it now, but something wasn't adding up. Found receipts for dinners I never attended. Hotel parking validations from downtown for dates we were supposedly visiting her sister and her old phone she forgot to trade in. Still worked when I charged it. The texts with her boss Derek went back 8 months. Not even going to repeat what I read. Photos I wish I could unsee. Plans they'd made. Times they met while I was working late or visiting my parents. One text from him. Day of the wedding. Have fun with Mr. Boring. Don't let him embarrass you in front of everyone. Her response. Don't worry. I've got him muzzled. 3 more hours and then I'm free next week while he's at that conference. 7 years. 7 years of my life. I copied everything. Screenshots, photos of receipts, bank statements, then put everything back exactly how I found it. She came home tipsy at 11 o'clock, kissed me goodnight, and passed out. I sat in the living room till 3 a.m. just staring at the wall. Thursday, I called in sick. Made an appointment with a divorce attorney for Monday, tomorrow. Opened my own bank account at a different bank. Started making a plan. She has no idea I know. Still smiles at me. Still asks about my day. Still talks about that house we're saving for. Yesterday, she asked if I was feeling better. Said I seemed distant lately. I just smiled and told her I was fine, just tired. 2 days ago, she reminded me about my conference next week, 5 days away, where she thought she'd be free. I told her I was looking forward to it. I leave Monday afternoon. She thinks I'll be gone till Friday. What she doesn't know is I'm only going for 1 day, then coming back without telling her. What she doesn't know is I've already transferred my half of our savings to my new account. What she doesn't know is I've already spoken to Derek's wife, Irene. Monday morning, before I leave for my conference, I'm meeting with the divorce attorney. I've spent the weekend gathering everything I need. Ruby thinks she has it all figured out. She thinks I'm just some pathetic decoration she can show off or hide away depending on her mood. She has no idea what's coming. I'll update after Monday. Wish me luck. Update 1 first. Holy guys. Did not expect my post on Once Loyal to blow up like that. Rip my inbox. Thank you for all the support and advice. Even the harsh stuff about how I should have seen the signs earlier. You're right. I should have. It's been a week since my last post and things have moved quickly. My meeting with the divorce attorney on Monday was eye-opening. I brought all my evidence, bank statements, screenshots, photos of receipts, everything. The attorney, let's call her Kate, was straightforward. Document everything. Don't confront Ruby yet, and follow the money. Kate confirmed what many of you said in comments. Since I'd already transferred my half of our savings to my new account, that was protected, but I needed to document the withdrawals Ruby had been making. When Kate saw the texts between Ruby and Derek, she actually winced. 7 years of marriage reduced to someone wincing at my situation. Left her office with a plan and a strange sense of calm. Like when you know a storm is coming, but for once you're prepared. I got back home and packed for my conference while Ruby was at work. She texted asking if I needed help packing, which was weird since she'd never offered. I said no thanks. She came home early with takeout from my favorite place. Another red flag since she usually complains about the carbs. We ate while she talked about her day and I nodded at all the right moments while thinking about the screenshots on my phone. Monday evening, she drove me to the airport, kissed me goodbye, and said she'd miss me. I went inside, waited 20 minutes, then got a ride share back to town, checked into a motel near Kobe's place. Nothing fancy, just somewhere to sleep while executing the plan. Tuesday morning, I met Irene for coffee. Had messaged her on Insta asking to talk about something important. NGL, this was the part one dreaded most. She looked tired, chasing after 2 kids under 5. When I showed her the texts and photos, she just stared at her untouched coffee for a long time. She didn't cry or scream. Just asked questions in this hollow voice. How long? How I found out. If I was sure. Then she thanked me. Said she'd suspected for months. But Derek gaslit her. Made her feel crazy for asking questions. She'd been tracking his location for weeks, but couldn't find proof. We talked for 2 hours. Turns out Derek had been telling Ruby that his marriage was basically over, just staying together for the kids. Irene laughed bitterly at that. They just put a deposit down on a family vacation to Disney next month. Back at the motel, I made more calls. First to my landlord. Our lease is up in 2 months, and I needed to know my options. Then to Zane to ask if I could crash at his place for a while after this all blew up. He didn't even hesitate. Asked what was going on, and I told him everything, including how Ruby yanked me from the family photos. Zane was furious, said several cousins noticed and were talking about it later. Apparently, Ruby had been telling family members that I had social anxiety and needed to be managed in group settings. Been wondering why invitations to family events decreased over the years. Now I know. Wednesday was Operation Follow the Money Day. Used the bank statements to trace where Ruby's mystery credit card payments were going. Found she'd been buying designer bags, expensive dinners, and this one stung. Weekend getaways to places she told me she was visiting her mom. Called her mom on a hunch. Casually mentioned how nice it must have been seeing Ruby in March. Her confusion confirmed everything. They hadn't seen each other since Christmas. By Wednesday night, Irene texted that she'd confronted Derek. He denied everything until she showed him screenshots I'd sent her. Then he broke down, promised to change, said the usual. She wasn't buying it. Said she was taking the kids to her sister's to think. Thanked me again. Thursday was the setup. Called Ruby from my motel, told her the conference was going great, but I might need to stay an extra day for networking. She sounded distracted, said that was fine, heard male laughter in the background, asked who she was with, and she quickly said just co-workers getting coffee. At 7:30 p.m, sure. I casually mentioned I'd noticed some weird charges on our account while paying bills, asked if she knew anything about them. There was this pause just 2 seconds too long before she launched into a story about her mom needing emergency dental work and she forgot to tell me. Said she'd pay it back into our account. Recorded the whole call on my phone. Kate said getting her to admit to financial deception on record could help with the divorce settlement. Friday morning, I went back to our apartment while Ruby was at work. Packed essential stuff and documents. Left the furniture and most clothes. Took only what was clearly mine and what mattered. Photos of my parents, my gaming setup, important papers. Zane came with his truck to help. Took everything to a small studio apartment I'd found through a friend of Kate's. Month-to-month lease, furnished, depressing beige walls but clean. Around noon, Ruby called unexpectedly. Sounded panicked. Asked when I was coming home from my conference. I said, Sunday as planned. She started asking weird questions about our bank account. Had I moved money around? Was I planning a surprise? Did something happen? I played dumb. Said everything was normal as far as I knew. She must have checked the account and seen the transfer. After hanging up, my phone exploded with notifications. Texts from Ruby demanding to know where the money went. Calls I didn't answer. Then texts from my cousins. Apparently, Ruby was messaging them asking if they'd seen me, saying she was worried about my mental health and erratic behavior. The gaslighting campaign has begun. I called Kobe, explained everything. He was shocked but supportive, promised to set the family straight. Within hours, the worried messages from relatives stopped. Instead, I got supportive texts. My Aunt Karen even apologized for believing Ruby's stories about my social problems. Saturday brought the confrontation I'd been planning. I texted Ruby saying we needed to talk about our relationship when I got back. Asked straight out if there was someone else. She denied everything. Said I was being paranoid. How could I accuse her after 7 years of marriage? That's when I sent one screenshot. Just one. Her and Derek planning their hotel meetup during my parents' anniversary dinner I couldn't attend because of work. The timestamp shows she read it. No response for 3 hours. Then a flood of texts. It wasn't what it looked like. It only happened once. She was lonely. I wasn't emotionally available. Derek meant nothing to her. I didn't respond. Just let her panic. Sunday morning, I woke up to 43 missed calls and a voicemail from Irene. Derek had confessed everything, begged forgiveness, but she'd already contacted a divorce attorney. Said Ruby had shown up at their house Saturday night, hysterical, demanding to speak to Derek. His parents were there with the kids. Witnessed the whole meltdown. I finally texted Ruby. Coming home early. Flight lands at 3 o'clock. We need to talk. Went to the apartment around 4 o'clock, knowing she'd be waiting. She'd cleaned frantically, made my favorite dinner, was wearing the dress from our anniversary. Tears, apologies, promises to change. I listened silently while recording on my phone in my pocket. When she finished, I told her I'd moved my things out yesterday, that I knew about the money, the affair, the lies to my family, the divorce papers would be coming this week, that I'd been back in town since Tuesday. Her face changed like a mask dropping. Called me psycho for stalking her. Said I'd never manage without her. Threatened to tell everyone I was abusive. I just played the recording of her earlier confession and watched her realize how screwed she was. Left her sobbing in the apartment, drove to my new place, and blocked her number. This morning, I woke up to find she'd emptied our joint account completely. The remaining $600 we had in there. Doesn't matter. The important money is safe. Also found out she called in sick to work today. Derek apparently did, too. According to Irene, he moved out last night. Ruby doesn't know I'm staying at Zane's now, not the studio apartment. Doesn't know I've already talked to most of our friends and shown them evidence. Doesn't know her carefully constructed image is crumbling around her. I'm meeting Kate tomorrow to finalize the divorce filing. Not going to lie, feeling both vindicated and exhausted. 7 years is a long time to realize you never really knew someone. We'll update when there's more. Ruby still hasn't figured out I changed the Netflix password. Small victories, right? Finally update. It finally happened. 3 a.m. on Friday. My doorbell wouldn't stop ringing. Checked the peephole to find Ruby standing there. Mascara streaked down her face, clutching a half-empty bottle of wine. Part of me knew this moment was coming, but seeing her actually there swaying slightly in the hallway of Zane's building still hit different. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up first. Thanks for all the support on my last posts on Once Loyal. The community came through with advice that literally saved my ass. Special shout out to the person who suggested I screenshot my credit score before filing for divorce. Genius move that paid off later. After my last update, things moved quickly. The divorce papers were filed Tuesday morning. Ruby was served Wednesday afternoon at work. According to a co-worker who DM'd me on Insta, we'd met at office parties. She completely lost it in front of everyone. Threw her phone against the wall, started crying, then tried to call Derek repeatedly, but he wasn't answering. Turns out there's a reason for that. Irene had already contacted HR about their affair. And since Derek was technically Ruby's supervisor, this violated like 6 different policies. By Wednesday morning, he'd been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Ruby didn't know this yet when she got served. Wednesday night, my phone blew up with calls from unknown numbers. Ruby kept using her friends' phones to try reaching me after I blocked hers. Left one rambling voicemail about how we could fix everything, how she'd made a terrible mistake, how Derek had manipulated her. Because that explains treating me like garbage for years. Thursday morning, Kate called to say Ruby was contesting the divorce filing, claiming emotional abandonment and financial abuse. Had to laugh at the irony. She was literally describing what she did to me. Kate wasn't worried. Said we had enough evidence to shut that down fast. Then Thursday afternoon, really hit the fan. Ruby showed up at Derek's parents' house again. Why there? IDK. Causing such a scene that neighbors called the cops. No charges. But according to Irene, Derek's mom recorded the whole thing on her phone. Ruby apparently screaming about how he promised to leave his wife. How he ruined everything. How they were supposed to start a new life with my money. Ouch. By Thursday night, Ruby had been asked not to return to work until further notice. Her work bestie Cecilia, remember her from the speakerphone wedding convo, suddenly wasn't answering her calls either. According to mutual friends, Cecilia had seen the screenshots I sent to our friend group and wanted nothing to do with the drama. Which brings us to Friday at 3 a.m. The doorbell that wouldn't stop. I texted Zane, who was asleep in his room, letting him know what was happening. He replied with, "I got you," and went to answer the door with me. Ruby looked rough. Not just crying rough, but hasn't slept in days rough. The designer outfit was gone, replaced with sweatpants and a stained hoodie. When she saw me, she started this weird hiccuping sob. Tried to push past Zane into the apartment. He blocked the doorway, told her she wasn't welcome inside, but I could talk to her in the hallway if I wanted to. I nodded, stepped out, and closed the door behind me. Ruby immediately tried to hug me, reeking of wine and desperation. I stepped back, asked what she wanted at 3 o'clock in the morning. What followed was the most pathetic attempt at manipulation I've ever witnessed. First came the tears about how sorry she was, how she'd made a horrible mistake. Then the excuses. She'd been feeling insecure. Derek had pursued her relentlessly. She'd been going through something she couldn't explain. Then the promises. She'd go to therapy. She'd never contact Derek again. She'd be the wife I deserved. I just stood there watching her performance. When I didn't respond, she switched tactics, started talking about practical things. What would happen to our apartment, our stuff, our joint streaming accounts? Seriously, our Hulu login is what you're worried about right now. Then came the financial panic. She'd been suspended without pay. Derek was ghosting her. Her credit cards were maxed out. She couldn't make rent next month. Her parents refused to help after finding out what she'd done. Could I please just help her figure things out for old time's sake? Finally, when nothing was working, she got angry. Started saying I had planned this all along. That I'd trapped her into confessing. That I'd turned everyone against her unfairly. That the texts were taken out of context. That's when I pulled out my phone, opened the voice recorder app, and played the audio from the night of Kobe's wedding. Her voice crystal clear, laughing with her friends about how I looked like some ugly decoration nobody asked for. Her face just crumpled. I told her I'd recorded that night because something felt off. Had been recording our conversations for months actually whenever her behavior seemed strange. Had a whole folder of her put-downs, her lies about where she'd been, her gaslighting when I questioned expenses. This was the surprise she never expected. That I hadn't just caught her affair. I'd documented her emotional abuse for months. Ruby slid down the wall to sit on the floor, no longer even trying to look composed. Asked in this small voice what I wanted from her. Money, public apology, revenge. I told her I didn't want anything from her anymore, just the divorce, a clean break, and for her to get help because this wasn't normal behavior. She asked if there was any chance at all, that we could try again. I said no. Then I went back inside, closed the door, and listened to her cry in the hallway for another 20 minutes before she finally left. Zane had made coffee. We sat in silence for a while. Then he said something I'll never forget. You know what the difference is between you now and you a month ago? You're standing up straight. I hadn't even noticed, but he was right. The next week was a blur of legal paperwork and more drama from Ruby's side. She made a desperate FB post about how devastated she was about our separation, full of vague references to mental health struggles and asking for privacy. The comments were surprisingly lukewarm. Turns out most of our friends had already seen the evidence. She tried showing up at my parents' house on Sunday. My mom, bless her, didn't even let her pass the front porch. Just told her that anyone who would treat her son like that at a family wedding wasn't welcome in their home. By Monday, Ruby had been officially terminated from her job. Derek too. The HR investigation found inappropriate use of company resources to conduct their affair, including using business trips as cover. Irene sent me a brief text thanking me again and saying she was filing for full custody of their kids. I felt bad for the kids, but not for Derek. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Tuesday brought a surprise. A letter from Ruby, 16 pages handwritten, detailing every mistake she thought I'd made in our marriage. Too quiet at parties, not ambitious enough, didn't dress well enough for her co-workers, spent too much time gaming with online friends, wasn't husband material for the life she wanted. Reading it was actually freeing. Confirmed what I'd suspected. She'd never really loved me, just the idea of having a husband. Any husband would have done. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. Ruby's contesting everything, but has no leg to stand on with all the evidence. Kate says it should be finalized within 6 months. Meanwhile, I'm rebuilding. Found a small one-bedroom apartment near the park. Started going to the gym again. Reconnected with friends Ruby had subtly pushed away over the years. Even joined a local gaming group that meets up IRL once a month. And yes, since everyone keeps asking in the comments, I met someone. Not rushing into anything serious, just coffee dates for now. Her name is Amelia. She's 32, likes true crime podcasts, and has 2 cats named after Game of Thrones characters. We matched on Hinge 3 weeks ago. She knows about the Ruby situation, and isn't scared off by the baggage. First time we met up, I caught myself checking my phone constantly, worried about Ruby's reaction if she found out. Then remembered I don't answer to her anymore. Don't need to explain my whereabouts or who I'm with. That feeling. Pure freedom. Last night, Ruby tried calling from another new number. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying she's moving back to her hometown next month. Asked if we could meet one last time before she goes for closure. I texted back one word. No. Some ships have sailed. For those who followed this whole saga on Once Loyal, thank you. Writing these posts has been weirdly therapeutic. 7 years is a long time to be with someone who makes you feel small. Still having moments where I catch myself thinking, Ruby wouldn't like this shirt, or Ruby would be embarrassed if I said that. But those moments are getting fewer. Yesterday I laughed too loud at a dumb joke in a coffee shop. Really bellowed, turning heads. Old me would have been mortified, apologizing, shrinking. New me just kept laughing. That's the real victory here. Not the divorce, not the evidence, not even Ruby's downfall. Just being able to laugh without worrying who might be watching.